the new person, and you'll read the preliminaries number 21.
Okay. Are we ready? Okay. Let's gather our minds here as we usually do, please. Bring your attention to your breath until you hear from me again. Now bring to mind that being who for you is a manifestation of ultimate love, ultimate compassion, ultimate wisdom. And see them here with you. They are gazing at you with their unconditional love for you. Smiling at you with their holy great compassion. Their wisdom radiates from them, that beautiful golden glow encompassing you in its light. And then we hear them say, bring to mind someone you know who's hurting in some way. Feel how much you would like to be able to help them. Recognize how the worldly ways we try fall short. How wonderful it would be if we could also help them in some deep and ultimate way, a way through which they would go on to stop their distress forever. We're learning that that is possible. We're learning how it's possible. And so I invite you to grow that wish to help into a longing. And growing your understanding of this idea of karma and emptiness, grow that longing into an intention. And with that intention, turn your mind back to your precious holy guide. We know that they know what we need to know, what we need to learn yet, what we need to do yet to become one who can help this other in this deep and ultimate way. And so we ask them, please, please teach us that. And they are so happy that we've asked. Of course, they agree. our gratitude arises. We want to offer them something exquisite. And so we think of the perfect world they are teaching us how to create. We imagine we can hold it in our hands, and we offer it to them, following it with our promise to practice what they teach us, using our refuge prayer to make our promise. Here is the great earth, filled with fragrant incense and covered with a blanket of flowers. The great mountain, 4 lands, wearing the jewel of the sun and the moon. In my mind, I make them the paradise of a Buddha and offer it all to you. By this deed, may every living being experience the pure world. Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kamniryatayami. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community. Through the merit that I do in sharing this class and the rest, may we reach Buddhahood for the sake of every living being. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community. Through the merit that I do in sharing this class and the rest, may we reach Buddhahood for the sake of every living being. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community. Through the merit that I do in sharing this class and the rest, may all beings reach Buddhahood for the sake of every single other. Okay. So I'd just like to share that much of what we do, our mudra about the offering mandala, the prostrations, all of this is part of our specific tradition. It all has meaning and it's not at all obligating, right? So don't feel that if it feels unusual or foreign or in any way uncomfortable, don't feel that you need to participate, right? It's all personal meaning and people use it in that way. So I just want to hope that people feel at ease in that way. So we would like to start again with the meditation preliminaries and then a short Tonglen meditation to get us in the mood for learning the Heart Sutra in a way that influences us properly.
Okay, so go ahead and get comfortable. Try and stay still for the next maybe 10 or 15 minutes. So we start by watching our breath. When you see your mind wandering, bring it back. Keep your mind at the tip of the inside of your nostrils and sense the breath coming in and out. We'll count to 10, nice slow breaths, not straining. And the out breath is the start of your breath. Now making out an act of refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. And I think for today, we'll take refuge in the Heart Sutra. And what it means to put your hopes in it. That maybe, just maybe, we're going to learn some kind of information that will actually lead us to another realm, where there's no disappointment and no suffering, no ups and downs, no broken relationships, just bliss. Next, think about bodhicitta. Think about some specific person or some people that you know who are having some kind of trouble, and sincerely wish you could learn this thing about emptiness and that you could help them with it. Now invite a holy being to be with you. Have them sit in meditation with you. They're at your eye level and about one full-length prostration away. Now think of all the good qualities you know about them. And in your mind, make 3 mental prostrations to honor them. Now think of some offering they'd like to have from you. I think a good offering for this week is offer this retreat and your efforts during this retreat. Now purify your mind, especially from the negative things of yesterday, or even though it's early today. Think of the most negative thing you did, what you said or thought. Look at it, admit it, and try to clean it from your mind. Now think of the best thing you did yesterday, the best thought you had, the most helpful thought, the most compassionate thought, and rejoice that your mind is capable of that as well. Next, pray to be taught, pray to meet good teachers. And understand they don't have to be lamas. It could be your best friend, it could be your family, it could be a person on the street. Pray to meet sweet teachings wherever you go and with whoever you're with. And lastly, pray that the holy beings in this world stay to help us. Like His Holiness 14th Dalai Lama, Dharma friend you have. Pray for their long life and that they'll stay and help us with our practice. Okay, you can move about a little bit. We'll start the meditation in just a minute. Okay, here we go. It's useless to try to meditate about emptiness if you don't have a good motivation. So we're going to do a short Tonglen, which is a meditation of using our breath to take away the pain of other people, and then in return give them good things. So breathe through your nose. When you breathe in, imagine that you are taking the trouble or the pain or the depression away from someone you know. Be specific about someone you know that is sad or they're sick. And every time you take a breath in, you're taking away some of that sadness. It's not like you are filling up with it. You're just taking it away and leaving them. And it's leaving them and it's just disappearing. When you breathe out, imagine some kind of white light in your breath. When it touches their body, it makes them feel very happy. Don't let your mind wander. Imagine their problem clearly and try and take it away. If you finish taking all their problems, which is unlikely, there are about 3 billion other people you can work on. So if you think you're finished with one, take up another. Okay, if you remember, we brought a holy being to meditate with us. Picture them again. Ask them to come and bless your mind, and they happily agree. They start to get smaller and smaller, and they rise up in the air. They get even smaller, 2 or 3 inches, 3 or 4 centimeters. Bring them to the top of your head. facing the same way you are. They shrink to the size of a pea. They slowly come down inside your head and down your backbone, headed towards your heart. When they reach your heart, make for them a beautiful seat made of a lotus. Inside the lotus is a sun, like a cushion. You ask them to sit there. And finally, we dedicate this meditation, the good karma we did, to the person you're trying to help. Think about them again and dedicate this good karma you've generated to them. Okay, you can open your eye. Is the sun?
Okay. So we'll repeat those meditation preliminaries at the beginning of each day. And they come in a specific sequence that to warm our minds up to be able to go into that deeper concentration. And this is not the place to learn about them. We're just going to get familiar with the sequence. So we left off last evening having spoken about the no self nature of the pen, and we were trying to expand that into the significance of the no self nature of anything. But I kind of feel like I jumped in ahead of time, because none of that's really useful or pertinent if we don't start from the premise that we all just want happiness. So can we agree that any existing being that we can be aware of is motivated to reach their own, to just be happy? I mean, is that fair to say? Is there anything wrong with that? No, it really should motivate us. Now, what it means to be happy, right? Different story. And that's what starts us on our path, is when we recognize at some point in life, all those things that we're going to, that are supposed to make us happy, they don't seem to do it. Maybe at first they do, and then it wears off, or they don't actually, they never meet up. And at some point we recognize that we're in this constant state of disappointment, and we're making all these efforts to get these results, and everybody has taught us this is what you do to get those results, and we do it and it doesn't work. Have you noticed? It doesn't work. Like, that's why we're here. There's something wrong with this picture. And the premise is not, oh, it's wrong to want to be happy, right? That's the wrong conclusion. The premise is there must be something wrong with what I think brings me happiness, or how I think I get happiness. And when we recognize there's a disconnect and we go searching for something else, in this tradition, that's called reaching the path of accumulation. So this tradition says that any being who comes to understanding that there's something wrong with this picture and start searching for some other answer, it has started onto what we call their spiritual path. And if one follows that impetus of their spiritual path along to the goal, they will go through 5 personal experiences that move them through these different levels towards their goal, whatever that goal is. And the first one is reaching this level of renunciation. Basically, in this tradition, those 5 paths have names. Path of accumulation is this first one that we're talking about. Path of preparation is the second one. I'll describe it a little bit more. Path of seeing is the third one. Path of habituation is the fourth one. And the path of no more learning is the 5th one. This first one, the path of accumulation, means we're accumulating enough disappointment with life that it grows into actual disgust with life. Like it just everything I try fails eventually. Maybe it seems like it works at first, but then in the end, it leaves me disappointed and wanting for more. And it sounds like a real downer because, in Buddhism, it says, until you've reached that point where you are just distraught with how disappointing life is, you haven't really started your spiritual path. And it's like, really? Like we all have to start our spiritual path from being depressed, But it seems like that. Because when we're looking for happiness, this mistake that we're so steeped in of believing that a thing's identity is in it includes that the thing's qualities are in it, which means whether or not it's something pleasurable is in it, which means it is the source of my happiness. I like berry pie. There's one piece of berry pie left. I know that eating that berry pie will make me happy. So that piece of berry pie has my name on it. And I should be the one to eat that berry pie, right? It's going to bring me happiness. So regardless of who else likes the berry pie, it's like, there's the last one. I deserve it. I'm going to eat the berry pie. Is it pleasurable? Yes. It tastes good. I enjoy the berry pie. And then there's the last bite. And I eat the last bite of berry pie. And 10 minutes later, I want more berry pie, right? Because it wears out. And somebody else didn't get any berry pie. It's like, that doesn't matter. He'd rather have ice cream, which is my justification for eating the last piece of berry pie. He doesn't like berry pie the way I like berry pie. He likes ice cream. He can have the ice cream.
I like ice cream and berry pie.
Oh, he likes ice cream on his berry pie. And so it seems like such a trivial example, but who's watching as I eat the last berry pie, expecting it to make me happy like forever? And it seems like a silly thing. I don't really expect the berry pie to make me happy forever, but deep down I do. And then there's the last bite, and then it's gone. And then it's like, oh, so now I need something else to make me happy because the berry pie happiness is gone. Okay, so now I need a cup of tea happiness, right? And now I need, I got to go to the store happiness, right? We're in search of happiness, thinking that these outside things that have them in them are the source of my happiness. We just showed that the pen doesn't have pen in it. So can the pen have pleasant pen, unpleasant pen in it? If it doesn't have pen in it, can it have pleasant in it? No. Can the berry pie have pleasant in it? Well, why the heck do I want it? It's got all those calories, like really nothing good for in it at all, except maybe some purple, right? Vitamin purple in berry pie. But come on, there's nothing good in it. Is there? Well, yeah, that's good karma in it. It tastes good. But then I use it up. What if I really want happiness? What would I do with that berry pie? Share it. Yeah, you can slice it in half, right? I don't have to give the whole thing away. I can give half of it to somebody else. What if I live by myself and my cat doesn't eat berry pie?
Neighbors.
Yes, so find somebody to share it with, right? You can even just make an offering. But the point is, our misunderstanding of believing that there's something pleasurable in the berry pie that's going to make me happy, that mistake makes me then believe that I need to do, what we do in worldly ways to get what we want and to push away what we don't want. And we believe that what we do in the moment works to get what we want and to push away what we don't want. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But what always works is the imprint we make in our mind as we do the thing that we do. That imprint stays in there. It is eventually going to ripen into its X-print, right? Into its projection of a similar experience coming back to me of what I just did. So I eat the whole berry pie. My mind's watching, you ate the whole berry pie. That imprint, goes out past planet Pluto, comes back to me, eons later, and who ate the last potato chip, right? Who left the car without enough gas in it? Who, right, used up something and left not enough for somebody else? Will be my experience from having eaten that berry pie without sharing it. Right? It seems so minor a thing. The point is that our happiness, whether it's from berry pie or meeting a new wonderful person, that's all results from imprints made when we tried to do something similar for someone else. When we experience for ourselves, we're using up imprints made by behaviors we did before. As we interact with others, we're planting new. That new planting creates the circumstances of our future experiences. Where does happiness come in there? We want experiences that seem to bring us happiness. They don't, but because they lack their happiness in them or not, they can. So can't we make imprints that when they ripen everything we experience as giving us happiness? That makes us a happy person. It's not really related to what's happening at all. The happiness was from the inside out. Your happiness is unrelated to what's going on around you. We can reach that place where happiness just bubbles out because it's unrelated to what's going on. Translate the word happiness to love. Love meaning, I want you to be happy. Okay? So if we walk around with this sense of, I want you to be happy. I want your interaction with me to leave you feeling a little bit better than you did before. Seed planting ripens as ending up walking around in a world where the other beings in your world are wanting to leave you a little bit happier after their interaction with you. Is that a world you'd like to walk around in? Yeah. Is it going to happen from the outside? No. Can it happen? Yes. How do we make it happen? By being that. Being that now, whether or not the others are being that. Do you see? Eventually, everybody's forced to be that around you because you've made those seeds. So while we're here, everybody's doing it. Like we're all on our best behavior, getting to know each other, being kind, being helpful. We're planting seeds to make a world where when you go out in traffic, right, the traffic just parts ways for you because you've been so kind in your other arenas that even traffic is kind to you. And it takes time. Look, like we've been at this for embarrassingly long time, but now, we'll go driving and thinking, oh my gosh, the traffic's going to be terrible. And where did it all go? Some days, not every day, but often. No, just because we've avoided interfering with people intentionally for so long, we hardly ever, knock on wood, get into traffic jams anymore. Even when everybody else is saying, oh, the traffic is so terrible out there. Say, really? We just don't see it. Do you see? But it takes this time. There is this annoying time gap between when we plant our seeds and when intentionally plant these good seeds that like, I'm trying to create my future. And when that actually happens, there's a long time between I try, and nothing's changing. And that's actually path of preparation, right? We've moved into path of preparation when our efforts to change have like become infused in us. Our path of accumulation has reached its power to push us into path of preparation. Path of preparation is when we are preparing to make this breakthrough in our understanding of the nature of reality. In this tradition, our path of preparation is this time frame when we're taking classes, training our meditation mind, keeping our book, meaning following our behavior very precisely to learn to make new choices in our life situations in order to intentionally imprint in our mind kindness in the face of ugly situations, intending to be able to then experience different results from old behaviors, different results in our future experiences. Our path of preparation is preparing technically to reach the experience of ultimate reality. So the path of seeing, the third path, refers actually to an experience that happens once for the first time and over really only 24 hours. So our path of renunciation may take us many lifetimes to reach the point where we are at the place where we would bail out of life for 10 days and come to a retreat like this. And then the path of preparation hopefully is not going to take many more lifetimes, but can. Usually we, not usually, we try to do our path of preparation, in a lifetime or half a one. And then path of seeing, though, happens within about a 24-hour period of time. And in that 24-hour period of time, the beginning of it is reaching this culminating event in path of preparation, where we actually directly experience these seeds ripening out of our mind into the object of our experience. We will hear about that experience again and again, and we'll imagine it happening again and again, but to have it as a direct experience, right, has a different impact on our being than all of our imagining. The imagining all helps bring on the actual experience. The actual experience of, whoa, that I'm laying on the identity of that object will, if we take that experience and go and jump on our meditation cushion and then meditate on that experience will pull us into the direct experience of the fact that nothing exists in any other way than as these overlays of mental imprints. And that takes us into the direct perception of emptiness, which is really the direct perception of the ultimate reality of all existence, most specifically the existence of oneself. The no self nature of oneself, not meaning physical body, but one's self being, is the no self nature that's important. And that's what you will experience directly in this direct experience of emptiness that's called the path of seeing, Tonglam. Once you've had that direct experience and you come out of it, you are forever changed. It's like learning to ride a bicycle. You can read all the books about it, see all the YouTubes about it, but never actually get on the bicycle. You could be an expert in it, but never actually have experienced it. But you finally get on the bicycle and you ride it. And it's like, now you know what it is to ride a bicycle. And even if you never ride again, nobody can ever tell you, you don't know what it's like to ride a bicycle because you've done it once. Once you've experienced this emptiness of all existence reality directly, and you come out of it, you don't see it directly again for a very long time, but now you know. And nothing and nobody can ever make you unknow. And the result of that knowing is that you now are very, very keenly aware that your ordinary experience of everything and everybody is mistaken. That everything goes back to seeming like their identities are in them again. But you know you're wrong. You know it's all this shape-shifting of your own results of past behaviors and available to be whatever your current behavior plants for your future. But you can't see it directly. At that point, you are on your path of habituation, which can take, again, multiple lifetimes to progress through the experience of burning off the old seeds that were planted with the big mistake and replanting seeds without the mistake. And in the process of that, you're working very keenly on burning off all of those mental upsets that are inside all the seeds that were planted while we were still the ignorant, mistaken being. So they call it working through burning off all our mental afflictions and planting our seeds without that mental affliction of the belief in the self nature of things. We call it ignorance, that belief in the self of things, others, self. So the process of the path of habituation is learning to live according to what you now know is true, but you can't see it. But you know it. So one's responses, reactions to their experience of life change dramatically. Not easily. It's effort to be on your path of preparation. When we've entered this whole sequence with the heart of a Mahayanist, the great vehicle, which is, I understand my own suffering better. Now I understand everybody's in the same boat. I want to become the one who can help everybody become the one who can help everybody stop all of this suffering. When that's our mindset, then the guidelines are that we work on what are called the 6 perfections as we move through our path of habituation, meaning we're working on overcoming our selfishness by working on being more generous with material things, with our time, with our love, with our knowledge. We work on our level of morality being avoiding harming others, learning what kinds of kindness we want to plant, and doing both of those with this mindset of bringing everyone to freedom from their suffering someday. We then also work on avoiding anger, growing our patience. It's a long story what that is, and work on doing all of that enjoyably, having a good time, doing our giving, our avoiding harming, and our experiencing patience. And all of that feeds into deepening meditation practice, that feeds into being able to reach that direct perception of emptiness again and again and again, repeatedly. We'll have it for the first time, Sutra wise, and it may be a very long time before we have it again. But as we accumulate our goodness, it will start to happen more frequently. That grows our wisdom. Wisdom meaning this intellectual wisdom is our intellectual understanding that, yeah, it seems like things are in them from them, but intellectually I know it can't be. I've proven it to myself because I've done the pen thing so many times, right? And I've been able to apply that out there. Intellectually, I know. Intellectually, I apply it to my behavior. And I try really hard to increase my mindfulness of my automatic, what about me? And say, right? And turn it to greater kindness. And we just track our behavior and see how well we do. Yeah, and we do well some days and we do not so well other days. Path of habituation accumulates, plants the seeds for reaching our goal, whether that goal is our own freedom from suffering, nirvana, or our goal is reaching our full awakening called Buddhahood in this tradition, called the path of no more learning. It sounds like, okay, once I'm Buddha, I can just retire. But it's not like that. It's like once you reach Buddha, you're ready to launch your career, right? It's like we're ready to start what we're meant to do, is reaching this full awakening state. And then that's a beautiful long story about what you do once you're Buddha. Again, for another time. So to move through these levels, renunciation, accumulation, preparation, etc., the experience that moves us from one to the next happens in deep meditation. We accumulate the experiences off our cushion, but the switch from one to the next happens in deep meditation, which means if we're not meditators, it ain't gonna happen. And it means to be a meditator deeply enough to have these realizations means regular daily practice. It doesn't mean, you have to ditch life and go into retreat, although you might want to. Regular, steady effort accumulates the karmic seeds to be able to reach that deep state of meditation that can carry us to the direct perception of emptiness when we need it. And this tradition says build up to an hour of meditation a day with the 20 minutes of preliminaries and about 10 minutes of the end. So the whole thing ends up being almost 2 hours. But Geshe always says, just start with 5 minutes and add a minute every week. And by the end of a year, your whole life has adjusted for your 1 hour meditation session a day, because you didn't sit down and try and do it all at one time. You've just accumulated it slowly. So hopefully will have a little inspiration to start a practice if we don't already have one, and to maybe crank up the juice on it if you do already have one by the end of this weekend end session. So the Heart Sutra is all about these 5 paths. If you didn't know that, you wouldn't know it, because the sutra itself, nobody heard in the sutra, here's the first path, here's the second path, but they're all in there. And it's talking about what the experiences will be in that, on that path, and moving from one path to the next, which is why we get the commentary on the Heart Sutra, so that we can understand and use it to help move us through these paths. Moving through the paths, all of them have to do with understanding emptiness and dependent origination, meaning emptiness and karma, this marriage. So we're going to talk about it a lot. In Shoni Lama's commentary, he quotes a text by Lord Manjushri that says about the Heart Sutra, you know, when somebody hears the Heart Sutra, probably they're gonna doubt it. But if in their doubt of the Heart Sutra, they have the thought, well, but maybe there's something to it. That thought, maybe there's something to this Heart Sutra, is such a good imprint, such a good karma, such a merit, that just that thought is enough to like shift your mind and set you on your path of preparation. Like, you're here because you're already on your path of accumulation, whether you knew it or not. That's what brought you here. And then just to hear the Heart Sutra and have a sense, maybe there's something in there that can help me help others. That's enough to propel you along these 5 paths. It's very sweet because even the doubt in the doubt is enough to carry us forward. Okay, I'm finally done.
Well, you've covered just about everything. We can all go home now.
No, now we get into the sutra.
You want to take a break now? It's almost an hour.
Oh my gosh, it is almost an hour. Let's take a break.
Take a break and then we'll start looking at the actual word for word.
Yeah. Please get refreshed.
Okay, are we ready?
Okay, so if you pick out your copy of the Heart Sutra. We're going to start going through it page by page, well, word by word. And I'm hoping the copy you have is the same copy I have. So Choni Lama goes through every word, and we're going to go through it likewise. We talked about how one of the qualities of an enlightened being is they speak in Sanskrit, and we all understand our language, what they're saying in our language. That's why you might hear someone say that to them, Lord Buddha spoke in the sutras in Pali, or in our case in English, when he's actually speaking in Sanskrit. So, Arya Bhagavati Prajna Paramita Hridaya. Pakpa Chendin Dema Sherab Ki Peraltu Chimpa Ningpo. Bhagavati or Bhagavan is translated into Tibetan as Chomdende. Chom means conquer, Den means possesses something, and De means gone beyond. Geshe translates it into English as conquer, but literally it means the conqueror who possesses something great and has gone beyond. The Dema is a feminine ending. So literally the title is the conquering woman of wisdom. Bhagavati, the I is a feminine ending in Sanskrit, and there's a reason for it, but we'll get into that later. So the title in Sanskrit is what you've got there on your page. I don't have it. Do I? No. Okay, so Prajna or Sherab means wisdom. People accuse the Tibetans of mispronouncing it. They pronounce it as Prajna, and they're accusing them of mispronouncing it, but that's apparently the way it should be pronounced. Prajna means wisdom. Paramita means the other side, so reaching the other side. If we ask nicely, maybe Lama Saranhi will tell you her 4 Dharma chicken jokes. So, but you have to ask nicely. They're very funny and very original. But, well, there's nothing wrong with telling jokes in English. It just means we may get a bunch of blank stares. But anyway, so Prajna means the other side. You often hear of gone to the other side, and we'll be discussing that. Hridaya means the heart, your heart. So literally the thing is called the heart of the perfection of wisdom, the woman conqueror. That's the actual name of the Heart Sutra. So if you study the sutra, you'll reach the other side. It means by studying the sutra, then seeing emptiness directly, you will reach the other side of the shore of the ocean of suffering, which is the opposite of suffering is total enlightenment. So when we talk about going to the other side or crossing to the other shore, we're talking about reaching enlightenment. If you learn the Heart Sutra, if you see emptiness directly, you'll reach the other side of the ocean of suffering. So the perfection of wisdom can mean either emptiness as we're working on it and trying to perfect it, or the perfection of wisdom can mean the real perfection, perfect wisdom that's already in the mind of a Buddha. So when we say this teaching is called the essence of the perfection of wisdom, the Heart Sutra, that perfection can mean either the one that gets you there or the one you have when you get there. So I bow down to the Buddha and all the Bodhisattvas. At the beginning of a book, translators bow down to somebody. In this case, they're bowing down to Lord Buddha and all the Bodhisattvas. This came about when the government of Tibet made a point that the king said, if you write a book about sutra, he wants to see a prostration to the Buddha, well, let me go back. There's an obeisance at the start of all teachings, and this was required by the king in Tibet. And so when you get a sutra, you're going to have an obeisance to several people. One, the Lord Buddha, if you have, Lord Manjushri, if you have the obeisance to Lord Manjushri, then it's a wisdom teaching. If you have the obedience to Lord Shenrezi, it's about compassion. If you have an obedience to Shakyamuni Buddha, it's Vajrayana. It's Vinaya. And if you have one to Vajradhara or Vajradharma, then it's Tantra. So an authentic teaching should have, commentary should have a obedience to one of those individuals. In general, in Buddhism, we distinguish between wisdom and method, between knowledge and action. The knowledge side of things, the nighttime side of things, the left side of things, the mystical side of things, the wise side of things. This is why the book is called The Lady or the Woman. The feminine energy in all people, not just women, that's a quality of knowledge and wisdom and of emptiness. The masculine side is love and compassion, bodhicitta, action, daytime, the right side. These are all distinctions we make in Buddhism. So wisdom, this whole subject of knowledge and deeper understanding of reality, is the feminine side of things. And that's why the Heart Sutra is the woman, the lady conqueror. Oh, I need to change. There we go. So now we start the literal translation word by word. DK, Dake, Dupa, Duchek Na. DK. There are several different versions of the Heart Sutra, slightly different translations. So hopefully we're all going to be on the same page. So page 1 at the bottom says DK, Dake, Dupa, Duchek Na. DK literally means this language of these words. DK means the following sutra. Dake, Daki Tupa means once I heard the following sutra. Chikna means, Du Chikna means actually the once I heard. You hear that quite often, the statement, once I heard. It refers to a council that was held, and each disciple that was at a Buddha's teaching, once he had passed, they had to recount from memory what they learned. And that's something I think that we don't really understand. I can't comprehend someone hearing the Heart Sutra once and being able to remember it completely. We think we're pretty smart with computers and all that computers can do, but can you imagine sitting at a teaching, sitting at this teaching, hearing what we were saying once and being able to recount it completely? That blows my mind. I don't understand how that would possibly. It takes me hours to memorize something, but that was their, what would that be? That was their iPad back then, was their memories. Okay. So Tony Drakpa Shedrup says the word Daki means by me, that this is not secondhand. This is a first-hand sutra. You're getting it straight from the person who was there. So to see the words DK, Dake, means once that you've heard this, and it's straight from the Lord Buddha's mouth. It's extremely rare to hear this sutra taught. In your lifetime, if you can get 1 or 2 good teachings, you're very lucky. So Duchek Nam means that we're in the same boat. We have a chance to hear it and hear it clearly and properly. Chomdunde Gyalpon.
the copy that came out of the ACI Buddha Dharma doesn't have the Tibetan. No wonder
Only
we've
in
got some
the
funny
original.
looks. Wow, we.
Well, that
So we need
explains the
Anastasia,
blank
she might be
faces.
able to read this.
Mhm.
No, we only, the handout, because Lama Sumati is going through the
Did we get this one?
transliterated Tibetan, where
Yeah.
we only have the original and the English, so we
Did
don't.
we get this one?
I
copy
can,
yet?
we can have copies. I will ask Theo to have multiple copies.
Okay. Well, hang on a minute. We can.
You can also
Why
maybe
don't we
take
shift
photos of
then?
it, share it in the channel. Ooh,
Yeah.
that I can do.
You want to push the word by word to later then?
No, you can,
No.
I will send the picture in the copy that you gave me.
So instead of memorization, we're taking a photo. Sending that to everybody.
Oh, we're getting close.
Perfect.
I have a second. I have a second copy.
No, I will-
Gather around and.
I
Do
put
that.
pictures
Yeah, do
and
that.
then we, in the break, before the next session, we will.
I'm so sorry.
No.
I. I have another. Oops. Another. And I have another.
Human Xerox machine.
Oh. Guess what?
Another.
I have another. Maybe. Share. Click on.
You know, there's an electronic version somewhere, I can throw it up on our website. Let's look for. Okay.
I should have sent it to them. Page 17. That's you.
Go through the Druid documents, I do check out, I go on this trip. Once I heard this teaching and go through the 3 different meanings of the ones. Heard it in person, only gave it once, they memorized it, we said, oh, that is really good.
Okay,
Yeah,
15.
yeah.
15 and 16.
How do you say? How do you pronounce?
So I guess we'll go back and start over. DK Dake do check na. Daki Dupa means I heard the following sutra. Duchik na means that once I heard the following sutra. So like I said earlier, once I heard refers to the council. I'm not sure when that was. That was quite a bit after.
That was, it's not clear to me.
So a bunch of people had heard the teachings, got together and decided who, I guess, had the right version. It was still, as I said earlier, it was remarkable to me that there were human video recorders at the time. Technically, every word of the sutra is supposed to be the word of an enlightened being, but here you have someone say, I heard him say that. The word of Lord Buddha comes to us in a way which is permitted by Lord Buddha or encouraged by the Buddha. The Buddha basically encouraged his students after he passed away to say, I heard him say this one time. And that becomes part of the sutra legally. That's within the rules because the Buddha said, you can say, I heard this once, and that will be part of my word. One of the things that Geshe-la talks about constantly is the omniscience of Lord Buddha and what he said 2,000 years ago being very germane now. And you stop and think about it, as we'll discuss later. When you read a sutra, it's not so much, well, an important part of looking and reading a sutra is to understand how it translates to what you are experiencing now. It seems hard to believe someone 2,000 years ago could have anticipated what I'm experiencing, but if you look at it and read it carefully, you'll see that he's speaking to exactly what you need at that moment, which I think is extraordinary. So the word daki means this is not secondhand. I hate to keep repeating it, but it's very important that this you understand it's the first hand. The other purpose of saying once is to indicate that the listener, the person who is reciting the sutra for the benefit of others, was an extremely intelligent person. They memorized it at the first hearing, and he memorized it on the spot. And this is apparently very common in India. As I said earlier, we tend to think we're so smart with computers and airplanes and all of that, but when you stop and think that someone memorized it as it was being spoken, I think that's miraculous.
Like having photographic memory, but auditory. Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard of someone having auditory memory like that. I don't know if you know anybody who has a photographic memory. That alone is miraculous. I had a fellow student in organic chemistry that had a photographic memory, but she didn't know what it meant. She could get A's on all the tests, but she really didn't understand the chemistry. I understood the chemistry, but couldn't get A's on all the tests.
Okay. Done?
So I think that's we're back up to speed now. Go ahead.
Okay, so next comes the Chomden de Gelpoi Kapna Jagu. So that once I heard this teaching, it's just like the lead in, and then this starts the actual explanation of the sutra, and what it does is it sets the scene, first of all. So we heard it in English, the conqueror was staying in Vulture's Peak in the Keep of the King. And so Chomden de Gelpoi Kapna Jagu is saying that. So Chomden de, he already said, has this meaning of the conqueror, but Chomden de, when the Tibetans translated from Sanskrit, Bhagavan, into Chomden de, they looked at the literal meaning of Bhagavan, and then they looked at the meaning, like what is it really to be the Bhagavan, which is another word for Buddha. What's the whole connotation inside there? So they didn't use whatever Tibetan word was that would be the direct translation of Buddha. They used this Chomden de, which he already explained has this threefold factor of having conquered something, possessing something, and then what was the third one? Gone beyond something. So they rolled it all into this term Chomden de. And what Chomden de has conquered is not some outer enemy, but their own negative states of mind, their own mental affliction. So we use the term mental affliction for any state of mind that is any kind of upset. So it includes emotions, what we call emotions, but also includes, intellectual beliefs and things that we tend to make a difference between an emotional state of mind and an intellectual belief. But in this tradition, they wrap those all into what are called mental afflictions. So this state of mind of being Buddha, fully awakened one, means you've completely gone beyond these negative states of mind. What it means to go beyond is a long story.
I think one thing that we tend to pass over is we talk about negative emotions being anger and things like that, but you can get overly excited about something. So that's a negative, to me, no, I don't know if I'd call it an emotion, but that's a negative
State of mind.
negative state of mind. So don't think it's only just the terrible things. You can be really excited about something and do something very ignorant.
Right.
I think we've probably all done that.
Right. So when we use the terms negative and positive or good and bad, in terms of our state of mind or our behavior, what characterizes it as negative or positive, negative, bad or good, is by way of when its result comes back to us, will it be unpleasant or will it be pleasant? So something that qualifies as negative or bad is something that when its result comes back to us is unpleasant. That's what makes the thing done negative. So it's a little slippery because I eat the whole pie now. And I think that's a good thing because it brought me some pleasure. But in fact, it planted a seed in my mind so that when I want berry pie next, there won't be any, which is a negative thing. So technically, the eating the last berry pie without sharing it was a negative deed, even though in the moment it brought me pleasure. The in the moment bringing me pleasure was not a result of eating the piece of pie. It was the result of sharing a piece of pie before, or sharing something
Right.
before. The pleasantness of now comes from some kindness from before. The unpleasantness of now comes from unkindness from before. The unkindness now is going to bring me unpleasantness in the future. And that's what determines it as unkindness now. Do you see why it's so hard? Because you can't connect the dot. If we could, guess what always says, if as you're crushing the cockroach, your ribs crush, how many cockroaches would you crush? Yeah, you'd see it happen to somebody else and go, ooh, I'm not doing that. Right? But there's this delay. And in that delay,
Well, we tend to believe the delay is going to be days, weeks, or months, or years, but it could be. It
yeah,
could be instantaneous.
it could be. Yeah, and then in the process, oh, I'm getting cramp in my foot. In the process of our, working on all of this, the delay actually gets shorter. And it does actually reach a place where there is no delay at all.
Well,
But that's
the whole premise of DCI in the business world is doing things now to get it to ripen in the present, near term.
it's possible.
It's possible. So you have to keep that in mind when you do something. If you say to yourself, oh, this will ripen in a couple of lifetimes from now. Maybe.
Right. Okay, so. Tamdende. They've overcome their mental afflictions. In the process of doing that, they have thereby accumulated a whole lot of goodness. And it's called reaching their share of virtue. And the term Bhagavan in Tibetan, Bhaga, has this connotation of having their share. And so there's this additional connotation of who this being the Buddha is they've overcome all of their mental afflictions. They've gathered all of this goodness, right, which they gathered by way of overcoming their mental afflictions. And then in doing so, they've gone beyond. They've gone to the other shore, is what they usually say. The other shore meaning they've gone beyond all suffering. As Sumati said, they've even gone beyond nirvana, which means that they didn't leave nirvana behind, nirvana being the freedom from all mental afflictions, but they've gone beyond in the sense that they've also gone beyond their limited state of mind, meaning they've reached that state of omniscience that we spoke about last night, that perceiving ultimate reality and ordinary reality simultaneously all the time. And it's too soon to really understand the ramifications of that, but it's significant. And it is the state of mind where your ripenings and your plantings are happening simultaneously. You are still planting seeds and ripening seeds as Buddha. That process never stops. That is the process of existence. So they pack all of this together into Chamdende, meaning the Buddha. The Buddha was staying on Vulture's Peak. Galpoi Kapna Jagu. That's you,
Right.
right? Okay, back to you.
So Galpoi means king. Kap literally means needle, but it can also mean a land or a place. So this is Rajagira. This is a place in ancient India, the place where a king resides. The keep of the king is called the Rajagira. Jagu means bird. Ja means bird. Gu means wild. So Jagu is Tibetan for vulture. Has anybody here been to Vulture Peak in India? I have not. Apparently it looks like a vulture. It's kind of hard to understand, but okay. So Pongpoi Rila Gelongi Gendin Chempo Dong Chanchub Sempe Gendin Chempo Dong Top Chup Tu Suk Te. Pongpoi means pile, means a mountain. Ri means a mountain. Jagu Pongpoi Pongpo Ri means the mountain of a pile of wild birds. So the Buddha taught this sutra at Vulture's Peak in the land of Rajagira in ancient India. Apparently there's a great mountain there that has a shape like the outline of a vulture. Tony Drakbas mentions that some great writers of the past have even said that when the world is being destroyed, that mountain will be the last to go. So I guess that's where we should all gather.
You want to be the last.
Gelong is monks, Gi of Gendon gathering, Chempo great. So the great song consisting of fully ordained monks. Dong is translates as and. So Chanchub Sempe Gendon Chempo Dong Top Chukte Chuktu Sukte. The great gathering composed of bodhisattvas. The Sangha at this point was composed of bodhisattvas and monks. Tony Lamas says there were certain disciples, even in the close vicinity of the Buddha, when he taught at Vulture's Peak, that did not have bodhicitta. So that was the first gathering, the gathering of monks. They were not motivated by a desire to reach perfect happiness themselves so that they could benefit other people. The next words are surrounded by a Sangha who were bodhisattvas. So we have so far the Buddha surrounded by his disciples, those monks who did not yet have high motivation, and those monks who already were bodhisattvas. Chanchub Sempa is the Tibetan word for bodhisattva, and Chanchub means Buddhahood. Sempa means mind. So bodhisattva is defined as a means of a warrior who is thinking about reaching enlightenment, total happiness for themselves so they can help other people. That's something with the ACI that's really important to keep in mind. When I was first studying ACI, I didn't understand this concept of total enlightenment. Why would you say total enlightenment? I mean, enlightenment is total. Well, depending on what not lineage, what group you're in, there's total enlightenment and there's enlightenment. Enlightenment is nirvana for the Hinayana practitioner. And total enlightenment is the Mahayana practitioner who's got bodhicitta in their mind is trying to reach enlightenment for the benefit of all living beings. So in the ASI teachings, it's often they say bodhicitta is wanting to reach enlightenment for everybody, and sometimes they say bodhicitta is just reaching enlightenment for yourself. So you have to keep that in perspective as you're studying the ACI courses. Okay. The best, oh, that's another, well, I don't know. Did we talk about the ferry boat? Is that a ferry boat captain? Is that you?
Later.
Comes up later. Okay, we'll discuss that later. The best thing you can do for other people is to reach total bliss yourself and then show them how to do it. The word Sangha or Gendon means nothing can split them up. There are no negative forces that can split the brotherhood of the Sangha, and that's the meaning of Sangha. Sangha means they stick together and nothing can split them. And it's interesting here, Sangha doesn't have to be just monks and nuns. The literal meaning is nothing can split them up, but often Sangha is referred to as those who have seen emptiness directly. I personally consider Sangha to be my students and the teacher I'm involved. So like we have the Sangha here, I have a Sangha with Diamond Mountain, I have a Sangha with other ACI students. So I tend to interpret a lot of this in a more broad manner, just because it's relevant to what I'm thinking about at the moment. I don't know, we aren't supposed to know who's seen emptiness directly. We're not supposed to go around advertising it. The fact that Geshe-la does is not out of pride. He's showing it can be done and how to do it. And it's best taught by someone who's done it. So I will admit I have not seen emptiness directly, but I try and teach what I can from my understanding of Geshe-la's experience. So Choni Lama points out that we have two Chempos. Chempo means big. Choni Lama says the first big and the second big have different meanings. The first big was attached to the monks in the audience who hadn't become bodhisattvas yet. They had gained to a great spiritual level. They wouldn't get to be sitting there with Lord Buddha as he teaches the Heart Sutra unless they're pretty big. The second has 7 discrete meanings. He says the second Chenpo is the Maha that you find in Mahayana. And there are 7 different meanings of it. I want to go through the 7 different meanings. How are we doing on time?
You could. Yeah, I think you should.
Okay, so there's 7 different meanings for this, the second version of Chenpo. Chenpo. The first one is, and just bear with me, this is kind of weird. They've got big eyes, meaning they're looking toward big goals. They're not satisfied with the small scope of things. They're looking to help as many people as they can. They're not being satisfied with the little things. If you can help more people, if you can make your activity wider, your goals greater, then you should go for it. The second meaning is they have 2 goals in mind. They want to help themselves be the best that a person can be, and they want to help other people reach that same goal. So that's the second meaning of big. The third is a high state of wisdom. The fourth is taking joy in doing good things. The fifth is the ability to find unusual ways of serving others. The sixth is having achieved the 10 powers. I had that. Let me see, I think I have the 10 powers. Come on. Here are the 10 powers. This is from Liberation Thrust in the palm of your hand. The 10 powers. Number 1, knowing what is correct and what is incorrect. Number 2, knowing the knowledge subtleties and maturations of karma. Number 3, knowing the various wishes of beings. Number 4, knowing the various classes of things. Number 5, knowing which beings' faculties are superior and which are inferior. Number 6, knowing where all paths lead. Number 7, knowing the afflicting and liberating qualities. Number 8, knowing one's own and others' prior lives. Number 9, knowing when beings will die and where they will be reborn. Number 10, knowing that the mental afflictions have been terminated. So for those of you that were curious what the 10 powers are, now you know.
Wasn't the 10 I was thinking. Yay. I learned something.
And that's from Liberation Thrust in the Palm of Your Hands, day 4, note 100, just in case you want that back. Say that again.
I got it.
Okay. So the last thing I'm going to talk about
Did
is,
you say 7? The 7 meaning.
oh, I'm sorry, 7, thank you. The scope of their life and their activities is huge. They don't restrict their activities to something small or something limited. They're looking for ways to affect many, many beings at the same time. So back to the sutra. Tapchek du sukte is an unusual word in Tibetan. Top tu chik tu. Top means method, chik means one, and they're all sitting together. So in summary, the person relating the sutra is setting the scene. Lord Buddha has gone to the land of the king, a great king. He's gone to the great mountain on the east, where there's a precious boulder crag at the top that looks like a vulture's head. And he's sitting with 2 great groups of disciples, some who are spiritually very high but don't have ultimate compassion yet, and some who have already got great compassion, and in those 7 ways are great, and he's sitting with them. So that's the scene.
Right. Okay, great.
Tempo.
Tempo. Oh, good. So we have about 20 minutes left. And where we are is to do our first exploration of Kendra J's meditation. So let's just take a, quick Google break and then settle in. And we'll learn this first step. So just get comfortable. Main thing is we want our spine upright. And then your legs and feet comfortable on the floor. If you need a pad underneath to lift, it can be helpful. Typically, we start any meditation, no matter how short, with our preliminaries, but because we've already done them, there's a short version. And so you always start with bringing your attention to your breath, to use that opportunity to focus your mind inward. So bring your attention to the sensation of the air moving in your nostrils. Watch it go out, watch it come in. Just the sensations. When you get distracted, just go, oops, and come back. Every out breath, your physical body relaxes a little more. Every in breath, your mind becomes more alert, interested, keen. Now turn your focus to that precious fully being your personal guide. We have them in our hearts already. But focus on them there. Ask them to help you get the most out of this first session. And feel their guiding light shining into you. So the first part of Kedrobje's meditating on emptiness is to become more keenly aware of your own being, these different parts of your being. So we'll start with the physical aspect of us. This first exploration is simply experiencing. No stories, no investigating, no analysis, just becoming more keenly aware of our presence, our physical presence. So for this first part, let me explain first, and then we'll do it. I'll ask you to actually open your eyes back up and scan the room for its physical objects. Experiencing simply the colors and shapes. And you'll go from left to right around the room slowly. And as you come back around to yourself, include the colors and shapes of the parts of your body that you can see. Your effort is to simply experience things as color and shape. And sense the difference in feeling when you get to the color and shape that we call our own body versus an outer thing. Once you've gone around a couple of times, eyes open, close your eyes. And continue to scan the room. Those colors and shapes that are there. And with eyes closed, add to the experience a sense of this is a part of me. My visual experience is a part of me. Those colors and shapes. Any experience is a part of me. Now shift from colors and shapes to sounds. Turn your focus of attention on what you hear. Outer sounds. Inner sounds. Your own breathing. Your gurgly stomach. The experience of these sounds is a part of you. Now shift to smells. Is there smells in this room you can be aware of? Part of our physical world, our physical being, are the smells we smell. And then shift to tastes. And shift to tactile. What you feel on your skin. Your clothes. The air. The sensation on your chair. Focus on the tactile sensation only. Now go back to the taste. Sensation of taste. Go back to hearing sounds. The sensation of sounds. For the smells. The visual colors and shapes. What you remember, or you can open your eyes and scan the room. Oh, your physical world. Your physical being. And let that all go. And recall that person we wanted to be able to help at the beginning of class. Recognize that what we heard, what we learned in this class, we will use someday to help that others stop their distress forever. And that's a great, great good news. So please be happy with yourself. And think of this goodness like a beautiful glowing gemstone you can hold in your hands. Recall your own precious holy guide there deep within your heart. See how happy they are with you. Feel your gratitude to them, your reliance upon them. Ask them to please stay, continue to guide you and inspire you. And then offer them this gemstone of goodness. See them accept it and bless it. And they shine their goodness into you, their love, their compassion, their wisdom. It feels so good, we want to keep it forever. And so we know to share it by the power of the goodness that we've just done. May all beings complete the collection of merit and wisdom, and thus gain the true ultimate bodies that merit and wisdom make. So use those 3 long exhales to share this goodness with that one person. To share it with everyone you love. To share it with every existing being everywhere. See them all filled with happiness, filled with loving kindness. And may it be so. Okay. So any questions about that sequence? Simply raw information of our physical world. And getting used to just experiencing and having this thought, it's all a part of me, right? Instead of limited here and all of that's coming at me, all of it. Somehow a little bit me. Plants love these seeds. Yes.
Why do we do only with the visual opening the eyes and not like, I don't know, touching?
We can do it touching. We can also do it touching. We'll do an exercise where we are actually physically touching and checking. So you can do it with, you can. Once you get familiar with it, you won't need to, and that'll be a distraction. You'll be able to go deeper with it with eyes closed, even the visual with eyes closed.
And when you say feel the difference between looking at the colors and shapes outside and then your own, like what are we supposed, like I didn't see anything.
Yeah, so the sense is when I look at those colors and shapes, they're out there. And when I look at these, they're somehow more me than that, right? This is me, but this is not me. And we're just trying to lower those boundaries a little bit and say, if I'm experiencing a color and shape physically, or I'm experiencing in my mind's eye, how is that any different than the color and shape I'm experiencing here? Okay, it's my experience. It's really establishing that we don't stop here, actually. And so it seeds for later, different teaching, but that's very helpful in this investigation of our physical world, which is the raw data of the physical world we're trying to get a glimpse of for this part of this meditation. Anything else? That one so far. Okay, so we have time between sessions and even between meals. And totally up to you how you want to spend that time. We have space for yoga if you want to do yoga. We have people who are experienced yogis who I'm sure would help. If you're an inexperienced one and want to explore but don't feel obligated, you can go sit with the meditation if you like. You can do mantra. Would you give us the loom of the mantra?
Sure.
Because then they can start using it if they like. So to use a mantra, we typically receive the oral transmission of it, and then it gets implanted, and then we're empowered to use it. We'll study what the words actually mean, but he's gonna give it to us. So if you're inclined to want to start your mantra recitation, if for your break time, we can do that as well. I'm gonna ask that we count our mantra, not that we set a goal for how many we do, but at the end, let's add them all up and we'll dedicate them at the end of the weekend and at the end of the whole week to something specific. So as you do your mantra with your new little mala, keep track. Every time you go around, it's considered 100. There's actually 108 beads, but you get 8 beads for error. So each one's 100. So you just, keep.
Well, not 100 on the model they got.
Oh, there's 28. Oh, they got little malas. Okay, there's 28. So there you go.
Okay. Close your eyes, please. I'll say it and then we'll say it together 7 times. How about that?
Yeah, repeat after you.
Repeat after me. Okay, so I'm going to say it through once and then we'll do the repetition. Tayata gate gate paragate parasangate bodhi swaha. Okay, now repeat after me. Tayata gate gate paragate parasangate bodhi swaha. Tayata gate gate paragate parasangate bodhi swaha. Tayata gate gate paragate parasangate bodhi swaha.
There you go.
Ta-da.
Thank you.
That's part of the mantra at the end. Ta-da.
It means gone, gone, gone all the way, whatever. Yay.
Tell them if you're,
Oh, I'm not
Chicken
prepared. I'm sorry, I'm not prepared. I have to
Oh.
review them. I don't.
she's very shy about her body, her chicken
My
jokes.
Dharma chicken joke.
I need to set the stage for those jokes just so you understand. She's usually very shy and retiring. So Geshe had come in. This is at the end of the 3-year retreat. He's come in and I've been doing some translating with him. And we walked together up to the part of the retreat area. We had a big tent. And I look up and there's this young lady with a microphone walking amongst all the students. I realize it's my lovely wife, and I hear these Dharma chicken jokes, and I never heard them before. So it's a treat to hear them. They're quite funny. No pressure.
What did you accomplish in your 3-year retreat? Yeah, stand-up comedy routine. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Maybe have some announcements for the
Yes,
participants
please.
also. The audience on.
The online.
It's only for the people, so maybe we can finish class and then.
Okay, class is done. Class is done.
Okay, thank you. Thank you online.
Yeah, thank you.